Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 22 of my Careers podcast. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to have a very special guest, the entrepreneur on fire, Lee Dumas, on the show. Now, Lee Dumas is the founder and host of Entrepreneur on Fire, an award-winning podcast revealing the journey of today's most inspiring entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Entrepreneur on Fire generates over $250,000 a month in revenue and offers a free 15-day course on podcasting at freepodcastcourse.com. With over 1 million unique listeners a month, Entrepreneur on Fire has inspired Fire Nation to take control of their life and take the entrepreneurial leap. Now, welcome, John, and thank you for joining me. I have something that I've been looking forward to saying for a long time. Are you prepared to ignite?
Jane, I am excited. I am prepared to ignite, and 22 is my lucky number, so let's do this.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, how good is that? And now it's my lucky number too, John.
Yay!
Now, as you know, this podcast is all about careers and offers inspiration to those who are looking for a new career direction. Now, I've done a lot of research, and I know you've had a fascinating career path that led you to where you are today. So can we, to start off with, find out about Lee Dumas before you became the entrepreneur on fire with over 1,018 podcast episodes under your belt? Can you tell us a little bit about your early background and where you're from?
Yeah, sure. Born and raised in the state of Maine, which for anybody in Australia, that's about an hour and a half north of Boston. So kind of a country state and not much going on. I was in a very small town. And when I left for college, it was on an Army ROTC scholarship where I spent the next 8 years post-college as an Army officer in the U.S. Army. And I did a little 13-month tour of duty in Iraq. Post-Army, I struggled pretty mightily for 6 years. I tried a bunch of different careers. I tried law school and I dropped out after one semester. Corporate finance, died a slow death in a cubicle. I tried commercial and residential real estate out in California, back in Maine. Failure. And I just was struggling because I wasn't excited about anything that I was doing. I knew that I had this enthusiasm to pour into something, but it had to be the right thing. And I just wasn't having any success up to that point in my life. And I was 32 years old. But fortunately, it was in that year that I had my aha moment for Entrepreneur on Fire, because I was consuming all these podcasts. I was loving listening to podcasts, but I was running out of podcasts because my favorite shows were ones that interviewed inspiring and successful entrepreneurs. And the reality and sad thing was they were doing it once a week or twice a month. And there just wasn't enough quantity for me. You know, I even went all the way back in their back catalogs, which took me weeks to complete, even though it took them years to record. So I was like, man, there has to be that podcast that's 7 days a week that has a fresh new interview with an inspiring entrepreneur. And Jane, it did not exist. I searched up and down for it. So I decided to take a little quote from Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world, and launch Entrepreneur on Fire, the first 7 day a week podcast interviewing inspiring entrepreneur 7 days a week. And here we are at episode 1000, as you mentioned, in 17. Another one going live every single day. We're getting over 1 million listens per month for our podcast. And we're consistently generating over $250,000 a month in revenue. And we're actually honored as Best of iTunes podcast, which was a blast. And it's just been a great journey.
Oh, it's just such a fascinating journey as well. But you make it sound almost so easy, even though you'd gone through what you considered to be failures. But can I just tap into when you were a little boy, when you were a young teenager, what did you have in your mind about what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I was pretty non-entrepreneurial. Like you hear the people like Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm sure Australia has, you know, very similar personalities like that, where they were just entrepreneurs the minute they were born. They were out rocking and rolling at 9 years old, just like selling baseball cards on the weekends and making, you know, thousands of dollars. That was not me. Like I was just not entrepreneurial at all. You know, I was like, I want to be a professional baseball player. And, you know, that was like my dream. And it was never like even close to reality, but that was just something that I saw growing up that I would love to do. And I didn't really think about the future that much. I didn't really have something I wanted to be when I grew up. It just wasn't something I dwelt upon. I was much more of a living in the moment kind of person. And it wasn't until I was 32 that I took my first entrepreneurial leap. So, I think that should be comforting, hopefully, for a lot of people listening, that, you don't have to start young. You don't have to have this entrepreneurial DNA, if that even exists. You can definitely just take your time, give yourself space, find that passion, and then when the time is right, just throw yourself into it in a powerful way.
So at the age of 32, when you made this change and you decided, okay, I'm going to take the leap into entrepreneurship, did you feel afraid at any point when making the changes?
Every single step of the way, there was fear, there was terror, there was doubt, there was misgivings. I mean, that never goes away, though. That's the thing. Here I am, a few years later, a very successful podcast, generating millions of dollars a year in revenue. And the fear still doesn't go away. It's still there. It's still prevalent. It's still what kind of keeps you sharp. There's like some very famous actors that used to throw up every time before they actually went on and performed on stage. And that never went away for them, because that's kind of what kept them sharp. It mattered. It mattered to them. And the minute that the fear goes away, it stops mattering. And that's not a good thing. So I embrace it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, because you get that adrenaline rush as well when you're feeling afraid and you think, okay, should I take that leap or not? And every single time, I know whenever I've been afraid and I've done it anyway, you feel so good. You think, hey, I'm better than I thought I was. And then the next time you think, okay, feel a little bit more brave as well. But I work with a lot of people who are going through career transition and may have experienced redundancies. So their confidence levels, it's pretty low, because a decision about their employment or their career path has been made by somebody else, their employer as such. And so a lot of what I do, I try and build up their confidence again. Do you have any tips and techniques that you could recommend on how to just believe in yourself and get on with it?
Yeah. To really believe in yourself, it really starts, number one, with surrounding yourself with the right people. We live around a lot of Debbie Downers and Don Doolittles that are just not, that inspiring of people or that motivating of people. And if we let them be the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, then, that's going to be a bad average. Like, I do love that quote by Jim Rohn, that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's so true. So look at the 5 people that you're spending the most time with. And if you're not that impressed with what you're seeing, there's probably a reason for it. And, that's probably the reason why you're not that impressed with the results that you've been experiencing. Because, we have this tendency to be the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So why not take the time, take the effort, and really immerse yourself with just 5 amazing people? I'm not saying disown, your friends that aren't necessarily the best of influences, but give them some space and get some space for yourself. And start hanging out with some inspiring people who are doing great things, and you'll be shocked at how quickly your whole view on life changes.
Yeah, I have to admit, whenever I want to do something new as well, and I think, I don't know. If there's someone who says, no, I think it's too hard, then it's self-perpetuating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that saying, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're absolutely right.
Henry Ford.
Exactly. And that's one of my favorite sayings, because you've got to have that positive mental attitude on a daily basis. I have to tell you, I listened to one of your really inspiring podcasts, because you interview so many interesting people. Your episode 589 with Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning, was really, really inspiring, because he was the gentleman who, at the age of 20, he had a car crash and he died for 6 minutes and was revived. And then he said that it really turned his life around, and he just started to embrace every single moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hal's actually become a dear friend of mine. He lives here in San Diego County and was just actually over just a couple of days ago in my house, because he's filming for his new movie called The Miracle Morning Movie. And I'm going to be a featured guest interviewee in that movie. So it was kind of cool how he flipped the scripts, and we got to kind of hang out and chat and get interviewed for his new movie coming out, because it's such an impressive story.
That is so exciting To me that's amazing. I can't wait to see it when it comes out because when you were talking to him, it was just incredible. His story and your story and how you turn things around, and it really is all to do with appreciating life and then thinking, well, you know what? I've got an idea. Why not do it? And then just move forward. Can you tell me, when you got into podcasting, and I have to absolutely agree with you, when you find a podcast that you really like and then you start to listen to them, unless you get to every single day, it's a bit frustrating having to wait. There's another podcast I quite like, and it's only once a week, but when the week comes around, it's like, oh, okay, well, I have to wait so long before the next episode. So having it every day, and what you've done is you actually identified a gap in the market, and then you took advantage of it, which is just such a smart thing to do, because now every single day someone can listen to you, or listen to you interviewing someone who's done something else that is inspiring. And exactly right, if you surround yourself by people, or you listen to people who are very positive and give you new ideas on what you can do, it just takes you to the next level, doesn't it?
Totally does. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Now tell me, I was going through all of the different things that you've got on offer now. You've got Podcast Paradise, you've got the Fire Path, you've got your free podcast course, you've got your free webinar course, you've got Quotes on Fire, which is really inspiring as well. Plus, back in 2013, you published your book, Podcast Launch. So with all of these things, John, how do you manage your time?
Yeah, I will say, number one, it's all about batching for me. I do all 8 interviews for Entrepreneur on Fire on Tuesdays. We start at 9 a.m. We end at 5 p.m. I do one on the hour every hour. And what's great is that then there I'm done. One day I wake up, I bring my energy, I bring the heat, and by the time the day is over, boom, I am now able to focus on the other parts of my business, the other 6 days of the week, because I do put in some hours on both Saturday and Sunday. I'm not afraid to admit it. Now, the other times that we're doing things like being interviewed on other shows, doing webinars for our communities, that's all very structured. We have the same times that we do every single week. So now we know very much so what's our committed time and then what's our free time. So for instance, you and I are talking on a Wednesday. I have absolutely nothing on my schedule for tomorrow or Friday. They're 100% open days that I'm going to be able to do whatever my heart desires. Now that's going to be work, but it's going to be work on things that I want to work on. And so it's really critical for me to just batch things in a really efficient way so that when I do have free time, it's really free time.
Oh, I think that's really good, because otherwise some people tend to multitask with everything, and they think, okay, I can do a bit of this, a bit of that, and then when you're on holiday, you're actually still checking your phone. That's a big no-no. Now, as an entrepreneur, because I know you're a busy man, and it's so good that you do have like set times when you are free. That's one of the best time management bits of advice that I've heard. Being an entrepreneur, what would you say is the hardest thing?
Wow. So there's a lot of tough things about being an entrepreneur. Like, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint just one. But if I had to say what a lot of people experience, that I definitely experienced as well, is it's just that feeling of being alone. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're oftentimes striking off with your own idea, with your own path. And yes, you can connect with other people, but they have their own ideas. They're on their own path. So it's really important, number one, to realize that, hey, I need to make a point to find my community. It's this world of abundance that we live in. And so when I started, I was saying, hey, I'm going to find other business podcasters that I can talk to, that I can relate with, that I can share my struggles and wins and failures and get into that, because it is tough. And that's probably the toughest thing that entrepreneurs face, is just that feeling of lacking a community, of lacking a home. And that's why a lot of people just spend 40 miserable years going to the office every day, because, at least they have some kind of community there. And I get it, because I've been there before. Before I saw the awesome opportunities in the world of entrepreneurship, like I, felt like I had to have a place to call work home. And a lot of people feel that way, because that's us. That's human beings. We are a tribe mentality. We need to fit in. We need to have that tribe, that community, that family. So critical on every step of the way. So that's something I see a lot of podcasters and entrepreneurs in general struggle with.
Yeah. The loneliness. I run my own coaching business as well, and it's good to have a couple of corporate clients who use me regularly, so I can actually go into their offices and I can see the team, and it's just nice to say, good morning to the receptionist, the same receptionist in the morning, and you know where you're going to go to have coffee. Then you can have a chat with the team. Whereas when I'm at home, I find when I'm working, I can start working at 8 a.m, forget to have lunch. Almost forget to have dinner unless I'm starving, and I could be easily working till midnight. But I think when you love what you do, the time just flies, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, I can remember so clearly how slow my days went back in corporate America, back in, I was doing other things, whatever it was. And now I just I no longer, I used to look at the clock as an enemy, as something that would go so slow. Now I just, I never really kind of just have this feeling like, oh my God, it's only 11 o'clock, or, oh my God, it's 4 p.m. There's never anything like that. It's just it is what it is. I'm doing what I'm doing. And oftentimes I just can't believe how fast, the day is gone.
Yeah. It's so nice when you're doing something and you're actually in the moment, and the time passes and you look at your watch and think, oh my goodness, where did the last 3 hours go? Because you were so absorbed. So I think that's one of the most fun parts of running a business that I really enjoy. What's the most fun thing about being the entrepreneur on fire?
I'd say getting to talk to just inspiring and successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. And of course, for me, that's 8 of them 1 day a week. But getting to have that many conversations with that many awesome and inspiring people, that's my average. I am spending most of my time with these inspiring and successful entrepreneurs every single week, and building connections and relationships and just having fun across the board. It's awesome. And I love every step of the way.
Yeah. Now, if someone wanted to get into entrepreneurship, or say they wanted to launch their own podcast, what would be your top 3 tips for success?
Well, for starting your own podcast, I would say number 1, and this is, a little self-serving, but it is completely true. I've created a 100% free training at freepodcastcourse.com. And that is just a 15-day training for free, where I teach people how to create, grow, and monetize their own podcast. And that just takes you through every single step of the process that you need to do all of those things. I would follow up on that by saying you really need to know that you are going forward with the right topic, a topic that blends your passions and your skill sets. So you're overlapping in that zone of genius, because podcasting needs to be looked at as a marathon, not a sprint. And that's the thing that we're doing. This is a long game. Go for it with the long game in mind. And then number 3, you have to nail your avatar. You need to know who that perfect listener for your podcast is. Who is that absolutely perfect person that's pushing play on your podcast? Who is that person? Know them. Know their name, their age, where they're from, when they're listening, how they found out about you. This is all stuff that you're making up, but believe me, creating that avatar will turn out to come true.
Yeah, that's so true. Just having the exact person, as if it's a little bit like now when we're talking, and I know that there will be someone listening in, and you wonder who that person is. And if you know exactly what their hopes and dreams and fears are, then you can actually make your topic very, very relevant to them.
So true.
Yeah. Now, John Lee Dumas, the man, when you decide to take time off, what do you do? What makes your heart sing? I know your work makes your heart sing, but what do you do outside of work?
I like being outside. I like doing walks. It kind of sounds boring to some people, but I just love getting out, breathing in the fresh air. Like a lot of people love to go on runs, that's just not for me, because, I don't enjoy running, but I enjoy walking and listening to a nice podcast. I do, power walk. So it's a nice brisk walk. But I do at least one 35-minute power walk every day, usually 2. It's just something I enjoy, again, getting out there in the fresh air, getting the blood flowing. And I do also like a little circuit training that I do. It's only 7 minutes. It's an app workout that I use on my phone, little 7-minute circuit training app. And, I just kind of enjoy that. And I do love continuing to learn more about health and fitness and nutrition. And I have a long way to go when it comes to that. And I definitely know that is a priority of mine, to really learn what works for me for health, nutrition, and fitness.
Interesting you say the 7-minute circuit that you do. Is it called the 7-minute workout?
Yeah, that's it.
I do that too. I can't believe it. We work out to the same
We truly do. It's 12 exercises in 7 minutes. It's pretty intense.
Oh, it's really good. I was amazed at how effective it was.
Yeah.
I thought, come on, 30 seconds each and then a 10-second break. How effective can it be? But it's really good when you don't have a lot of time. But it's just nice to get it over and done with when your heart's beating.
There is some legitimate training that kind of exercise, if you stick to it and do it consistently, is better than any kind of chronic cardio. Like people that go for like 6-mile runs and just slog it out and crush their knees and their hips, or jump on an elliptical machine for like 45 minutes. That's not a workout. You know, that's not something that's going to be good for you long term. It's chronic cardio. And this is a full body, get in, get out. Don't kill your body. You know, look at it like this is the one vessel that we have. Like we need to take care of it.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, John, I know you're a very, very busy man, and I have a certain amount of time with you. So before I let you go, tell me, what's your next big project? What's happening for John Lee Dumas next?
So my next big project is actually a physical product, and it's called the Freedom Journal. Because what I've seen in my life is I've had all of my success because I've learned how to set and accomplish goals. So I decided to create an actual beautiful leather-bound journal called the Freedom Journal. And the actual subheadline is 100 Days to Accomplishing Your Goal. And that's exactly what the book will do. It will teach you how to create a SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and timely. SMART goal. That's the acronym for it. And then it will walk you through how to create that SMART goal. And then it will take you through 100 days where it will hold you accountable to accomplishing that goal. And it's going to be a physical product. It's currently in China right now under production. And when it makes its way back over to the U.S. and to the Amazon stores, I'm excited to be shouting it out from the rooftops.
Oh, I can't wait. Let me know the minute it comes out, because I'll just try and promote it everywhere, because I love the idea that it's a leather-bound journal.
Yes.
And journaling is so effective when it comes to getting your life back on track. And having that 100 days, it's like, you know, it's a third of the year, or a little bit less than a third of the year, but it's a decent amount of time to really affect change.
Totally.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so people can find you. I mean, I think everybody in the world knows where to find you, entrepreneuronfire.com. Is there anywhere else where you would like to direct listeners to your Twitter or Instagram, or tell us where we can get John Lee Dumas?
So entrepreneur is kind of a difficult word to spell, so you can find all the magic at eofire.com. That's my website. That's my domain. And there's some great free trainings there. You know, we mentioned the free podcast and free webinar training. It's right there on that site. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Freedom Journal, you can just go to thefreedomjournal.com. There's just a little landing page there where you can just kind of sign up for updates, and I'll keep you guys updated on the progress of the Freedom Journal as we go forward.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to keep following your podcast, John, every day. They download automatically and get my little daily dose of inspiration. And I can't tell you, this honestly is such a thrill for me to have you on the show. I really appreciate your time, and it's been my pleasure to speak to you.
It's been awesome. Thanks a lot, Jane.
Great. Thanks, John. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.